This is an NCA press conference, and I must make it clear that the person who is addressing you is addressing you as Lovemore Madhuku, the president of the NCA, a political party which is in opposition in the country. You are not being addressed by Lovemore Madhuku, a professor of law or an expert in law, what some of you would prefer to call. So that must be very clear. If anyone wants Lovemore Madhuku, a professor of law, they have to come to the University of Zimbabwe. We will meet there and I will address you in that capacity. But this one is exclusively an NCA approach. I will make 4 points. There will be 4 and I will call them 1, 2, 3, 4 so that we're clear. We're making 4 points on behalf of the NCA. Our first point as the NCA is that we are condemning the enactment of Constitution of Zimbabwe Amendment number 2. We are condemning the amendment of the Constitution in the manner that it happened. The reason why we are condemning that amendment number 2, it's very clear. We have 2 grounds that are very solid. The first one is that the amendment is not a people-driven process, which is contrary to what a constitution must do. The making of a constitution must be by the people. Its amendment must be by the people. So both the process of making the constitution and amending it must be people-driven. This did not happen. The amendment process was purely and exclusively driven by ZANU-PF as a ruling elite, by ZANU-PF as a political party, and by ZANU-PF politicians. So we condemn it on that ground. It was not a people-driven process. The second ground why we are condemning the amendment process as NCA is that it was done contrary to very solid and overwhelming public opinion against it. So apart from the fact that ZANU-PF did it single-handedly and for its own purpose, there was overwhelming public opinion against it. As NCA, we have evidence of that public opinion. We are members of the political actors dialogue. And within the political actors dialogue, which is polled, there was a lot of discussion around Constitution of Zimbabwe Amendment number 2 bill then. And the opinion that was expressed by the position that was adopted in Poland was that this bill must be withdrawn, that there must be further consultations to ensure that you actually only amend the Constitution to accommodate other concerns that would address electoral reforms ahead of 2023. At one point, we got some understanding that the bill would not be pursued with. And I'm sure we were out in the public domain and in the media praising that stance that had happened within Poland. Unfortunately, that did not happen, but the Poland one is simply one example of public opinion. But we also know that there was a public consultation by Parliament where the report of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee itself showed that the majority of Zimbabweans who were consulted by Parliament said no to the amendment process. And then there was a lot of debate in the country, almost everywhere. It was clear that there was overwhelming public opinion against going ahead with the amendment. So for that reason, that's another second ground of condemning this bill, and so this amendment that happened first. So first, it's not people-driven. Second, it was contrary to solid and overwhelming public opinion. Then my second point as NCA is that we notice in the amendment the content is extremely dangerous for the country. It is a continuation of what is already in the Constitution, which is where power is consolidated in the president. But what is even more dangerous in respect of amendment number 2 is that it personalizes that consolidation. It is very clear that power is now being concentrated not in the hands necessarily of an office, but of an individual who is in office. And that is a very dangerous approach. You get it more pronounced in amendment number 2. You will know that the debate on running mate clause is being removed, the debate on the power to appoint judges or to extend the term of office of judges and so forth. It is all about the personal love for power by President E.D. Mnangagwa. And this is what is reflected in the amendment. So as NCA, we wish to put it to the public as our point number 2, that we notice a very dangerous trait in amendment number 2. It takes it a level above what we used to. We've been in this game to say that we need a people-driven constitution. At one point we were dealing with President Mugabe. And some people thought that it was all about Mugabe. But what has happened with Amendment 2 is that the current president has gone much beyond what President Mugabe was doing in terms of loving power as a person and concentrating it. And I think it shows the trend that came out in a video where the president is recorded as saying 2013 Zimbabwe. This is what amendment number 2 is all about, and we are condemning, we are noticing that that is what is actually happening. And it's a dangerous trait. We have to call upon Zimbabweans to be alive to that process. Because there is no other way why the president would ignore every other advice that is happening. And then, of course, if you look at that amendment, there is this thing that is creating so much problem, where the Constitution is actually put into place just a few days before the retirement of the Chief Justice. The message being put across to the public is that there would be certain individuals, certain persons, who are more important than others. In other words, there could be such unique individuals that the country cannot do without. We find that a very dangerous trait. We respect the Chief Justice and the work that he has done, but we don't believe that this is a time where individuals can say to the world, I am so crucial, you cannot do without me, and so I would accept a personal extension of a term of office via a constitutional amendment. Very dangerous. There's nothing, I mean, that might give us an indication that 2030 Zimbabwe might actually mean that there is a target to amend the constitution again. So that must be condemned at this stage, and we're condemning it as NCA. Our point number 3 as NCA is to say, what is the way forward for Zimbabweans? What do we believe is the way forward as Zimbabweans? We have an NCA approach to this point, and our approach, which we are calling upon Zimbabweans to understand and to embrace, is that constitution making is a political issue. Zimbabweans must engage with this issue politically. Engaging with an issue political means that we engage in a debate that this is not right, this is not fair, this is unjust. We look at that, the moralities, the goodness or the badness of it. Our debate must focus on that, and we go down to all people to understand that what has happened is bad. And this takes us to the fact that what has happened confirms the NCA fear in 2013 when it campaigned for a no vote. We campaigned for a no vote because we believed that a constitution must never come from politicians. It must never come from the ruling political parties. Now this amendment and the way it happened shows that we were right after all. We are still right, and that the debate must be more about engaging people on the goodness or badness. That's what politics is. This is bad, this is unacceptable. This is bad, this is unacceptable. We debate it that way, which is, that debate is very different from a debate that says this is legal, this is illegal, this is constitutional, this is unconstitutional. Such a debate is good, but it must not be the primary debate for the country. Well, such a debate will focus it on lawyers and those who will understand what is legal, what is illegal, what is constitutional, what is unconstitutional. We call upon Zimbabweans to take the debate at a higher level and say this is bad, what has happened. And we all agree that it is bad. We cannot just come out and say we just change the constitution the way we did. So that will be the NCA. So the NCA in its approach will politicize. We'll continue to criticize ZANU-PF approach to the politics. We'll continue to do it in all platforms, and we go down to the people to mobilize. But the second thing that we are saying as NCA, we support the initiatives by other Zimbabweans who have a different view as to how to approach this issue. I must emphasize that. Other Zimbabweans have their own approaches. We support those approaches. Their approach may be different. Our approach is, let's politicize the matter. Let's continue to go out there and tell ordinary people so that they become part of the debate. It must not become a social media and elite club debate. Let's do that. That's our approach. But we realize that other Zimbabweans have also another approach. And that approach is to go to court, challenge these things as a constitutional, unconstitutional, legal or illegal. We support those initiatives because we are a multi-party, multi-dimensional society with all people. And we respect that. It creates a good spirit. So we are not here to say that strategy does not work. We are here to say that we support those strategies, but our strategy is to keep on doing the way that we do. Then finally, number 4 is to come to the point that some of you might be interested in, and we want to approach it head on, is does this affect the NCA's participation in Poland, which is the platform where we had suggested these things, and that nothing came out of that particular initiative. The NCA will remain in Poland for the reason that we are disappointed. We failed on Constitution Amendment number 2, and that is done. We failed on that. But we don't believe that we will fail in other initiatives that are on the agenda. What we are remaining in Poland for is one other item that has remained. We have 2 items on the agenda. The first one was on the constitution making process, which was a governance issue. We did everything. We mobilized the other members in Poland. They accepted our viewpoints, and that's why the public got to know that Poland was recommending a withdrawal. We succeeded partly, but ZANU-PF at the end pushed it out and we failed. The second thing was on electoral reform ahead of 2023. There's already an electoral and political parties amendment bill that is being discussed within Poland with a number of reforms within the proposed electoral amendment bill and the proposed political reforms bill. We would remain there for purpose of ensuring that that attempt is exhausted. We do not support the view that if you are disappointed on one, then you throw away everything else. That's our approach, but we think that there are Zimbabweans who are out there who might not take that view, but that is our view as we go on. And then these are my points, very short, I think, on the amendment process. Thank you very much. Those are our points.